You know that feeling, right? That huge wave of relief when you cancel that plan, or you put off that really tough conversation, or just decide, I'll deal with it tomorrow. It feels like a win. But what if that feeling of relief is actually a trap? Today, we're diving into the paradox of avoidance and how the very thing we do to escape anxiety might be its biggest source of fuel.
So let's just start with the big question right here. Why does it feel so good to dodge something you're afraid of? I mean, it's not just in your head. There's a really powerful, immediate reward your brain gets from taking that step back from the edge of discomfort.
This simple, kind of frustrating answer? Because it works. Instantly. The second you avoid that trigger, your anxiety just plummets and you get this wash of relief. But that quick fix is so deceptive. It's kind of like slapping a tiny Band-Aid on a deep cut. Yeah, it covers the problem for a minute, but underneath, things are just getting worse.
And that brings us to what psychologists call the feel-good trap. It's this incredibly powerful cycle that all starts with that initial but totally deceptive sense of comfort.
So the trap gets set the moment you feel that relief. Your brain basically makes a little note. Hey, that scary thing went away when I backed off. This strategy, it's a total success. So it learns this really simple but also really dangerous lesson. You are not capable of handling that discomfort. So the next time you face a similar situation, the fear isn't just the same, it's bigger, because now your brain has proof that it's something you just can't handle. This quote just perfectly sums up the long-term cost. Anxiety grows in the shadows of what we avoid. Every single time you sidestep a fear, you're not just avoiding the thing itself. You're actually feeding that shadow, making it bigger and way more intimidating for the next time. So, how does this whole process actually work? Let's break down that hidden feedback loop that keeps so many of us stuck. This is the engine that powers the whole paradox. Okay, so you can break the cycle down into 4 pretty simple steps. First, there's a trigger, a thought, a person, a task, whatever it is that sparks fear or discomfort. Second, the action. You avoid it. You don't make the call, you skip the party. Third, the result. Bam, instant relief. Your anxiety just nosedives. And finally, and this is the most important step, reinforcement. Because that relief felt so good, your brain reinforces the belief that avoiding it was the right move, which makes you even more likely to avoid stuff in the future. And this cycle plays out in the real world in so many ways. A classic example is the self-medication hypothesis you see here. A person feels a negative emotion. They use a substance, and it causes a temporary drop in that bad feeling. Well, this teaches the brain that the substance is the solution, and that creates a learned pattern. But over time, it actually erodes their natural ability to cope, making that original negative feeling even stronger the next time around. See the cycle? The psychological engine driving all of this is something called negative reinforcement. Now, this term gets confused with punishment all the time, but it's actually the complete opposite. Reinforcement strengthens a behavior. Negative reinforcement does this by taking something unpleasant away. So when you avoid a stressful situation, the behavior of avoiding gets a major boost because it successfully took away the negative feeling of anxiety. And believe me, this isn't just some abstract theory you read in a textbook. This single psychological engine has huge effects on the most important parts of our lives, from our relationships to our struggles with addiction. In relationships, this cycle can create this classic, painful pattern called the anxious avoidant dynamic. You can see how it works here. One partner, the anxious pursuer, is always looking for closeness to soothe their fear of being abandoned. But that very pursuit of closeness triggers the avoidant partner, who feels smothered and pulls back. So each person's attempt to soothe their own anxiety directly triggers their partner's deepest fear. It creates this awful push-pull dance. Someone once described it perfectly. Their emotional wounds fit together almost like puzzle pieces. It's this tragic kind of compatibility where each person's go-to coping mechanism, one person pursuing, the other avoiding, unintentionally validates and deepens the other person's core wound. They get stuck reinforcing each other's pain, and it's all driven by that basic desire to avoid emotional discomfort. And here's the really crucial point. This mechanism goes way beyond specific situations. The fundamental drive to escape pain or stress, that's a universal feature of the human brain. It's the exact same engine that can drive anxiety, trauma responses, and so many other behaviors we all experience. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, the trap, and the mechanism.
The good news is you are not powerless here. Not at all. Once you understand the cycle, you can absolutely learn how to interrupt it and break free.
It really starts with a simple 3-step process. First, you have to identify it. And I mean, get specific. What exactly are you avoiding? Name it. You can't change what you refuse to look at. Second, ask yourself, what is the real fear hiding underneath this? Is it a fear of failure, of being rejected, of conflict? Getting to the root is key. And third, and this is my favorite part, shrink the step. You don't have to conquer the whole mountain of fear at once. Just face it in a tiny, manageable dose. Send that one email. Make that 2-minute phone call. That's it. That's the start. Now, as you take those little steps, you can start to practice what are called secure behaviors. This means consciously choosing to respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting emotionally. It means communicating what you need calmly, or giving someone space without panicking, and taking responsibility instead of just pointing fingers. These are the building blocks of a new, much healthier pattern. A really powerful metaphor that can help with this is to think of yourself as the sky. Your thoughts and feelings, the anxiety, the fear, the doubt, they're just the weather. And the weather is constantly changing, right? Storms come and go, clouds pass, but the sky remains. This helps you observe your feelings without getting totally swept away by them. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds the storm. And this brings us to what might be the most crucial, empowering idea in this whole explainer. You do not need to feel secure to start acting secure. The action comes first. That feeling of confidence, that's a result of taking the scary step. It's not a requirement for it. By choosing to act in a new way, even a small way, you begin to create the very security you've been looking for all along. Because at the end of the day, avoidance just makes your world smaller. It closes you off from opportunities, from relationships, from growth. But facing your fears, even in the tiniest ways, does the exact opposite. It makes your world bigger. So I'll just leave you with this question. What's one small thing you can face today to make your world just a little bit bigger?